It was just groceries, maybe $40 total. A box of cereal, a bag of rice, milk, eggs, and a frozen pizza for my son, his favorite. I had calculated every cent. I knew exactly what I could afford. But when I tapped my card, the screen flashed red, declined. I laughed it off, tried again, same result. The people behind me sighed. The cashier smiled politely, and I felt the heat crawl up my neck. I started pulling things out of the bag, one item at a time, prioritizing hunger over hope. When I finally gathered my things and turned to leave, I bumped into a man in a navy suit. He picked up my phone, handed it back, and disappeared into the parking lot. I thought he was just another witness to my embarrassment. But when I got home and unpacked my bag, I found something tucked beneath the cereal box. A black envelope, no name, no explanation. And what was inside left me frozen in my kitchen, shaking with disbelief. My name's Samantha, 35, single mom, former graphic designer. Now, whatever I need to be to keep the lights on. I used to have a normal life. A 2-bedroom apartment with mismatched furniture and a little balcony. A decent job at a small marketing firm. Birthday parties with themed cupcakes. And a husband who used to bring me coffee on Sundays. Now it's just me and my son, Jaden, 10 years old. He loves dinosaurs, space documentaries, and asking questions I don't always have the strength to answer. Like, Mom, are we poor? Or worse, are we going to be okay? After the divorce, things unraveled fast. My ex stopped sending child support after 3 months, said he was in between jobs, though I somehow kept seeing vacation photos tagged with his name. The job I'd depended on laid me off during a restructuring. I applied everywhere, hundreds of applications. Most of them went nowhere. The few that replied offered minimum wage and no benefits, so I started piecing together work. Cleaning houses, designing flyers for local shops, tutoring online when Jaden was asleep. Every week was a puzzle made of hours and bills. Some days I'd skip lunch so Jaden didn't have to skip dinner. I'd make sure his shoes were clean even when the soles were thinning. I kept smiling because he deserved a mom who didn't show fear, even if she felt it every single day. The grocery store was my battleground. I'd walk the aisles with a calculator in one hand, coupons in the other, and a knot in my stomach. Every item had to be justified, weighed against needs and bank balance, and whether I could live without it another week. That day, I had it all figured out. $42.17. I checked the cart 3 times. Just enough in my account with a few cents to spare. Jaden had asked for frozen pizza, and I said yes, which felt like a luxury. We stood in line quietly. I smiled at the cashier, watched the items slide across the scanner like fragile promises. Then came the swipe, and the decline. It's hard to explain what that moment feels like. It's not just embarrassment, it's shame. A kind that wraps itself around your ribs and squeezes. A kind that makes you feel like a failure in front of strangers who'll forget your face in 2 minutes, but whose judgment you'll carry home with you for days. I tried again. Still declined. I pulled out my phone pretending to check something important, but really just staring at the balance. $3.41. I began removing items. First the juice, then the vegetables, then the pizza. The cashier didn't say much. She'd seen it before, I could tell. Behind me, someone sighed. I mumbled an apology no one asked for and gathered what I could afford. Just the basics, just enough. And as I turned to leave, head down, face flushed, I bumped into someone. A man in a navy suit, tall, professional. Probably heading home from work. The kind of person who didn't know what it was like to pray that your card wouldn't bounce. I dropped my phone. He bent, picked it up, handed it back, and said, "Careful," with a small nod. I nodded back, didn't meet his eyes. Then I walked out into the rain, groceries in one hand, dignity in pieces. What I didn't know was that man had already left something behind. I didn't look back as I left the store. Didn't want to see the looks, the whispers, the cashier's quiet pity. I'd been there before, too many times. You learn to keep your head down, your words short, and your tears hidden until the car door closes. The rain had started while I was inside. Not heavy, just steady. A fine drizzle that soaked through my sweatshirt by the time I reached the car. I got in, set the groceries on the passenger's seat, and stared out the windshield for a full minute before starting the engine. Jaden would be home in an hour. He'd ask if I got the pizza. I rehearsed the lie in my head. They were out. Maybe next time. The man in the suit didn't cross my mind again. Not really. He'd been polite, maybe a little distracted like most people. He hadn't looked at me with pity, hadn't offered to help, hadn't lingered. Just picked up my phone, handed it over, and moved on with his evening. Another face, another bystander. I drove home, parked, and carried the bag of groceries inside like it weighed more than it did. My arms were tired, my back ached, and all I could think about was how close I was, again, to breaking. I unpacked everything onto the small kitchen counter. A bag of rice, a few apples, bread, milk, cereal. That's when I saw it. Tucked between the box of cereal and the loaf of bread. A black envelope. Small, matte paper, crisp edges, no name, no logo, no postage. Just sitting there. I froze. Because I didn't put it there. And I know the cashier didn't. She never touched my bag. I had packed it myself. Quickly, yes, but not so quickly I'd miss this. I picked it up, flipped it over. No writing. I opened it slowly like it might disappear if I blinked. Inside was cash, a neat stack folded once. Not 20s, hundreds. I pulled it out with trembling fingers, heart suddenly pounding so loud I could barely hear the rain outside anymore. I counted it. $500, and then I saw the note. Handwritten, small, clean letters, just a few sentences. You don't need to be embarrassed. I saw you today. You held your head up, even when the world tried to push it down. That's not weakness. That's strength most people can't imagine. No strings, no spotlight, just dignity. No signature, no phone number, just a second card beneath the note, glossy, square. The logo of a local nonprofit printed in silver. Quiet Dignity Foundation. On the back, a phone number and 2 words. We're waiting. I stared at that card for a long time. Not because I didn't believe it was real, but because for the first time in a very long time, someone saw me. Not my bank balance, not my grocery total. Me. I sat down at the kitchen table, the envelope in front of me, my heart still racing. I hadn't touched the money again. It felt sacred, almost unreal. I kept rereading the note, as if it might rewrite itself or reveal more if I just looked long enough. No strings, no spotlight, just dignity. Who even writes something like that? I thought about the man from the store, the one in the navy suit, the one who bumped into me, who picked up my phone, who made eye contact briefly, like he saw something he recognized. I hadn't thought anything of it at the time. I didn't want to be seen. But maybe he did. Not with pity, not with discomfort, but with purpose. Jaden got home from his friend's apartment an hour later, damp from the drizzle but grinning like he didn't have a care in the world. "You got the cereal," he shouted, throwing his backpack down. Did you get the pizza too?" I smiled, and for once, I didn't have to lie. "We'll get it tomorrow," I said. "Tonight. How about pancakes for dinner?" His face lit up. I hadn't seen him smile that freely in weeks. That night, after he went to bed, I picked up the second card again, the one with the nonprofit's logo. Quiet Dignity Foundation. I'd never heard of it, and I'd heard of most charities in the city, especially the ones with food banks or job training programs. But this one? It wasn't plastered on bus stops. It wasn't begging for donations or staging galas. I sat with it for a long time, and then I picked up my phone, now fully charged finally, and called the number. A woman answered, calm, clear voice. "Quiet Dignity, this is Mara." I hesitated. I got a card, in my bag, at the grocery store." Silence. Then, "Your name?" Samantha Walsh." A pause, then the sound of a keyboard, light tapping, and then a softer tone in her voice. "Yes, we've been expecting your call." That stopped me cold. "You have?" "Mr. Carr left your card for us. He said he met someone strong in a grocery store today, and that you might be ready to talk tomorrow, or never. Either is okay." Mr. Carr, that was his name? The man in the navy suit? "What is this?" I asked. Mara didn't rush her answer. She didn't oversell. She just said, "It's help. If you want it, quietly, with respect. No cameras, no social media, no story to post, just support. One-on-one. Built for people who have done everything right and still ended up here." I was quiet for a long time. Then I whispered, "I've been holding it together for so long." "We know," she said. "That's why we're here." The next day I took a bus across town. The address Mara gave me led to a modest brick building on a quiet street. No fancy signage, just a silver plate beside the door. The Quiet Dignity Foundation. By appointment only. Inside, everything was soft and intentional. Not sterile, not corporate. A small waiting room with fresh coffee, a table of children's books, and a wall of handwritten notes under a sign that read, "You're not alone anymore." Mara met me with a smile that didn't feel practiced. "He's upstairs. You don't have to speak with him if you're not ready." But I was. I needed to know why he helped me. I needed to understand what he saw that I didn't. He was sitting by a window in a small office with shelves full of paperbacks, not plaques. No degrees on the wall. Just a framed photo of a woman and a little boy. The boy looked a lot like Jaden. He stood when I entered. "Miss Walsh," he said, "thank you for coming." I sat down, still unsure what to say. "I didn't mean to embarrass you," he added. "I just wanted you to leave that store with more than less." I shook my head, trying to find the right words. "You gave me $500, and no one's ever given me anything without asking for something back." He nodded once. "I know." "How?" He looked down at the picture. "That's my mother. She raised me alone. We used to live 4 blocks from that store. She'd do the math on every grocery item in her head, trying to make $15 stretch into a week. I remember the day her card was declined for milk. I remember the look on her face and the way she still held herself, like she had something left to give." He looked back at me. "That's the look I saw in you." I swallowed hard. "You run this place?" "I started it," he said, "after I made my first real money. I promised myself I'd find the people who remind me of her, people who don't beg, but break quietly, people who need help without having to ask for it." He leaned forward. "You didn't owe me an explanation in that store, but you handled that moment with more strength and self-respect than most people will show in a lifetime." So I gave you what I wish someone had given her, breathing room. I cried then. Not the kind of crying you do when something hurts. The kind you do when someone finally says, I see you, and means it. He didn't ask me for anything. He didn't expect gratitude or commitment. He just handed me a folder with 3 things inside, a prepaid grocery card to get us through the month, a list of programs, rent relief, childcare aid, work training, a card with his direct line handwritten on the back. If you ever fall again, he said, don't wait to get back up alone. It's been 8 months since that day at the checkout line. I still remember the beep of the scanner, the decline of my card, and the burning shame of pulling groceries out of the bag, like I was apologizing for trying to feed my child. But what I remember more clearly now is the black envelope and what followed, because that moment didn't just fill my fridge or cover my rent. It changed something deeper. It gave me permission to stand up straight again, to ask for help without feeling like I was failing, to realize that I was never weak. I was just trying to do too much alone. After my meeting with Mr. Carr, I accepted temporary aid through the Quiet Dignity Foundation. I joined their job training program, 3 evenings a week while Jaden stayed with a nearby sitter they arranged. It wasn't charity. It was investment. Real, structured, quiet support. I trained in bookkeeping, took classes on budgeting, even helped teach a workshop for other single moms. For the first time in years, I wasn't just trying to survive the next week. I was building something that could last. Now, I work part-time at a local business as an accounts assistant. Not glamorous, not high-paying, but stable. I buy groceries without fear. I keep pizza in the freezer because Jaden still asks for it every Friday night. And I've learned something I'll never forget. Dignity isn't about what you have. It's about how you keep showing up, even when no one sees. A few months ago, I went back to that grocery store. Same time, same aisle, same clerk. Different me. I watched as a woman in front of me hesitated at the card reader, flustered, apologizing too much. She started to pull things from her bag. I stepped forward, tapped my card gently before she could protest, and said, "It's okay, really. Let this help you breathe." She looked at me stunned, and I smiled, the same way he did for me. Then I handed her a small envelope I keep in my purse now. Not always with money inside, but always with a note, and it always ends with the same line. No strings, no spotlight, just dignity. Most of the world walks past quiet struggles. We learn to keep our heads down and say, "I'm fine," even when we're breaking. But sometimes someone bumps into you, not by accident, but by design. And what they give you isn't just help. It's a moment of grace that says, "I see you, and you deserve better." That one black envelope didn't save my life. It reminded me it was still worth fighting for.